In my opinion, Andor is the best what Star Wars universe can afford, but I barely convinced myself not to drop Andor Season 2 after watching 7 episodes. The next day I just forced myself to finish the season, and then suddenly episode 8 turned out to be absolutely great. And the next 4 episodes got so much better in quality that it felt like they could be a separate movie. And I really want to figure out why those first 7 episodes didn't feel like good build-up, but like extremely boring and painful experience. I found several key reasons why it feels so bad, and I will cover it analyzing all main storylines from first 6 episodes. And we'll start with Andor opening scene. I really like opening scenes, I think they are very important for the story. And I even have whole video dedicated to Rings of Power opening scene bro visited. And this season starts with a talk between Cassian and Mechanic Girl and stealing an interceptor. And it is pretty good opening. The talk with the Mechanic Girl feels a little bit slow, but overall it's a nice scene. First, it's very intimate, honest and emotional. And it's interesting cause we understand that this character won't show up again and she doesn't matter for the story, but writers managed to show that these strangers are fighting for same purpose. She's scared and doesn't know what to hold on to, and Cassian really gives her meaningful real answer. And second, this dialogue really captures Andor core idea, its essence. This show is all about small people who make their small contributes to bigger purpose, and on every step on their way it is hard for them, they make sacrifices and they are always in doubts. And this dialogue scene as opening of the season reminds us what this story is really about. So yeah, this dialogue scene makes sense in terms of story and it's done well. And then the second part of the opening scene, we see the attempt to steal the interceptor, and it also works well on couple levels. Because another key thing about Andor, it is not about almighty superheroes, it is about regular weak people who are struggling, who fail, and for them even a small mission is almost impossible and often deadly. And this scene shows us this idea in a very simple and powerful way. Cassian just doesn't know how to fly the interceptor, and that's what makes this scene so tense, funny, fast and meaningful. It really captures the spirit of the show. And then comes fast-paced chase scene that just truly interesting to watch. Honestly, I can't remember where I felt the speed and tension of the chase this much. Just look at these POV shots. You can actually feel how hard it is to control that thing and how fast it is. Or look at these shots and this one. And honestly, knowing Andor, I was pretty sure Cassian might even crash and become a prisoner here. And also in this scene we have big, beautiful CGI shots like this. So yeah, the intro to season 2 is actually very good, I was genuinely excited after this. But then it all rapidly started to fall apart. Right now we'll make script-wise analysis of main storylines from first 3 episodes, and let's start with Mon's daughter's wedding. This wedding lasts for 3 episodes, and personally I found it incredibly boring to watch. This whole segment is just made up of dull dialogues happening in boring palace interiors, and during the entire wedding nothing actually happens. It's always bad when characters just talk. Characters should express themselves throughout the action, but that's not even the point. The point is that after 3 episodes watching this wedding, we got literally nothing out of it. First of all, this guy spends all the wedding circling around Mon just to say that he has some kind of financial issues and he kinda wants to sleep with Mon, and Mon kinda feels guilty and Luthen kinda unhappy with him. And in the end, this vague and weak storyline around this guy and Mon finishes with Luthen taking him away, and then later we found out that man was killed because he was a potential threat. And guys, this is not subtle or politician or spy, it is just weak. It didn't turn into any real confrontation, no blackmail, no threats, no danger, not even future real conflict between Mon and Luthen, not even any financial problems for Mon and Rebellion. Finances, the reason we needed this guy in first place. So why have I watched it? It is just a zero-sum game. You can easily erase it from the story and nothing will change. It is always very bad sign. Second, we see Mon marrying off her daughter for political financial reasons, and yeah, she feels kinda sad about it. In fact, she's selling her daughter for the sake of rebellion. But again, so weak. First, this daughter doesn't matter to the story at all. She's not a character, she has no role except making Mon sad. And as we never saw a really deep connection between daughter and Mon, we can't really believe that Mon is sad. And second, this wedding is not actually seems to be a bad event. The husband seems fine with it, the boyfriend's parents are fine, the guests are fine, even the daughter looks mostly okay with the wedding, as she is this traditional conservative girl. And only Mon feels kinda guilty and sad in this situation, so it doesn't work. And you know, okay, let's assume it really traumatized Mon. Where can I see impact of this trauma in the show? How this fact affected Mon character or the story? Okay, maybe at least we ever, just single time in the series, will see that Mon is actually sad or guilty about it. No, it was another total zero-sum game. You can erase this daughter arc from the story and you will lose nothing. And then there's this wedding climax. Mon goes to a rave. I suppose this is her way of letting go of the guy, of her daughter, of Luthen, of her guilt. First, I totally get how drunk emotional rave works. I've been to them, guys. But this dance fragment is just anti-aesthetic. Dance and editing and music are absolutely awful. Just look at this. It is cringier than cringe, bro. It is just unpleasant to watch. Second, just emotionally, it is very weak finish for this 3-episode wedding fragment. It could have worked if we were seeing editing where Mon is raving in tears, while in parallel Luthen was really killing the guy, while the daughter was crying in the toilet. But no, we're just watching Mon shaking off her stress. Really? And third, this rave scene all the time interrupt actually interesting stuff. Bix being raped and battle going on. And the fact that I have to cut away from this just to look at this, I almost never do so, but it felt so irritating that I had to just rewind this fragment. So, summarizing the whole wedding fragment that lasts for 2 hours. 2 hours, bro. This wedding contains zero interesting situations. It is made of boring dialogues in boring decorations. Story about this guy is just lost potential and zero-sum game. Daughter wedding has zero real impact on Mon's character. And climax of this segment is just pure cringe and irritation. So, in my humble opinion, we can just cut this wedding entirely and story will only win from it. And just a reminder, we're watching first 3 episodes. Episodes that's supposed to hook and interest you. And my only wish to erase it entirely. It is a very bad sign. Next one is this jungle segment. Let me repeat this wonderful core idea. Zero-sum game. From the first second I saw these Hobos, I instantly knew this is going nowhere. You can just tell, these characters are useless. Writers not even trying to make them into real characters. They're just meant to be goofing around placeholders. So just let me guess, you can't feel anything to these characters. And I guess the worst thing that series can do is when you can't feel anything to the characters. Nicely done. And yeah, my gut feeling was right, all this drags out for 2 episodes and leads us absolutely nowhere. Like Cassian just flies away and this guy probably dies and never mentioned in the story again. And in fact, this segment had the potential to be interesting. Like we have food shortage, 2 groups in small area, they can't fly interceptor and they can't kill a pilot, potentially cool setup. Just add meaning to it, let it impact future story. Connect it with connect it with Rebellion future, make it damaging for Luthen, let it affect Cassian character somehow, or at least make this climax emotional, why it ends so weak with absolutely nothing. So let's be honest, this fragment is useless for the story, it's obvious. And the sole purpose of this whole fragment that lasts for 2 series, writers just needed a way to hold Cassian, to create troubles for these characters. characters, but you have thousands other characters and story arcs to achieve same result. You know, this type of useless zero-sum story could work perfectly in Mandalorian, but you can't add this in real story. You immediately losing viewer trust and engagement and devaluate whole future story after this. It feels like betrayal. After this, viewer feel like, why should I trust storylines in this show? Why should I be engaged? They will betray me again. Again, it will lead me to nowhere. So this jungle segment does nothing for the story, does nothing for Cassian character development, and has zero creative value as independent storyline. Just a reminder, we are watching second and last season of the show that have endless opportunities to show us the birth of rebellion, and we're wasting this precious time watching an absolutely useless segment. Let's move on to this field planet segment. It is truly painful for me to tell this again, but whole this part also feels completely weak and useless. We getting some fake world building, empires deporting people, checking visas, there are some leave us alone energy, but it doesn't hit at all. Why should I care about this place? Show me these people, who are they, where they are living, show me these people's struggle, show me these cruel arrests and visa checking, but show me visual representation. I can't believe if just random character who I see first and last time in my life just telling me about this.
They found a group hiding last night in 600. So the arrests have been people running. I spoke to my friend at 500. She thinks they'll finish inspecting up there today.
Really? Or otherwise, show me that these characters really feel here like at home, and we even have some weak attempts to show it. Like this dude found a woman, this guy found a woman, and they eating with natives. But of course it feels extremely fake, because in very first scenes they show us that Imperial ship arrived and they waiting for Cassian, and all they discussing only how they will leave. So of course you feel it just another whatever location. It is not a live place, it is decoration to leave from. So yes, whole this place feels absolutely dead. For example, after one episode of Game of Thrones, I can feel Winterfell as a live place, because I see how characters live in there. I see these and 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 these. So yes, this is how you should show the place to make it alive. Also, you know, they show us Weeeell with this girl, and of course you can immediately tell it is not going anywhere. Either she will die and he will be sad, or they will be separated and he will be sad. But in fact, we don't even get that. He got zero character development with her, after her, because of her, and just a couple episodes later he will find new baby. So I wanna ask, why should I see it in the first place? Why should I waste my attention and emotional energy to this? It was a cheap way to make me care about Weeeell or what? Or maybe it should deeply justify why later he will save his next girl, like he left his previous girl, so he will not left this girl. Okay, good, it really has potential. But you never tell me about it. You know, you've done absolutely everything for me to forget about this girl 1 second after. And I'm pretty sure 99% of viewers didn't connect these two dots. And it's not their problem, bro. So, the only actual result of this segment, we killed this guy. But tell me honestly, do you care about this character? Of course you're not. But maybe his death could affect Bix, Cassian and Weeeell. No, it doesn't. You know, to make someone's death impactful, you have two options. First, you have to make his death really traumatic for the viewer. For example, in Dune, Paul's father's death feels really traumatic. It's really emotional, betrayal, cruel moment, and we see reaction of Paul and other characters. Nitame death in Avatar a little bit weak, but still it feels meaningful, because we see this, then 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 this. You can't help but you must feel something. Too much work is done to add significance to this event. But in case of Andor, we don't even see how he is dying. It has just happened behind the screen. And then people crying and whole this 1 year arc finishes 1 minute after. So we have zero impact from his death. Or second option to make death significant, character actions should be affected by another character death. For example, Paul taking real actions and really transforms entirely because of father death, and he mentions it a lot of times.
I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis!
Nitaeum's family taking massive actions after Nitaeum's death. And you know, even Bix seems to be so deeply affected by this Dr. Gorst, like we see 2 flashbacks with him. We see how strong her PTSD and depression in 5 or 7 scenes, and then we see revenge to Dr. Gorst. So random Dr. Gorst actually have much more real weight and impact to the story than this important character. I don't know his name. Of course, we never mention this character in his death in the show again, and it means this character and his death doesn't exist. And as his death is the only result of this and these segments, basically it means that those segments were useless. Zero-sum game. No result, no impact on the story. Right now I'm imagining a scriptwriter in front of me. The only good moment in this whole segment was first visit from this Empire guy and this attempt to rape Bix. This scene actually has emotional impact. It actually demonstrates that Empire is bad. And it feels really natural and brutal, like wow, whoa, whoa, bro, whoa. It is still just a cool moment that doesn't mean much, but it adds emotional weight to future Bix depression and vulnerability. And of course this scene has like 10x more impact than this important character death. I don't know his name. So let's summarize this field world segment. You don't care about this world, you don't believe this place means anything for the characters, they just waiting for Cassian to leave. This character death has zero emotional and story-wise impact, and this Weeeell love has no meaning or it wasn't shown properly. And it looks like another zero-sum, totally useless segment. And the only good stuff that happens in these 3 episodes is everything about Empire. This Empire meeting actually feels interesting. We see a bunch of important charismatic characters. We get new exposition about new planet, a serious new Imperial plan. And it's obvious they are somehow talking about the Death Star. And in this moment I was actually hyped and engaged, like, okay, cool, this is going to be important storyline, Imperial intrigues, Dedra talking about rebels, really strong setup. And then for next 2 episodes, after getting these emotions and these knowledges, we completely forget about it. You know what I wanted to see and what any good story would do? In the very next Imperial scene we would see Gorman and we would see these guys, or we would see Cyril and Dedra already started to work here, or at least we would see how they actively preparing and traveling there. Because you can't just give exposition and drop it to nowhere for 2 episodes, it's 1.5 hours. You need to build up, you need to develop it. Just for comparison, imagine if Game of Thrones showed us the Targaryens in first episode, gave us all this exposition, and then we wouldn't see Targaryens for 2 episodes. Imagined? Feels good, right? Feels nice. Or just imagine if in the Lord of the Rings we would learn this Mordor Rings exposition, and then instead of developing this Frodo Gandalf ring story arc, we would just forget about Ring and Sauron for 40 minutes. Bro, to be honest, I just feel ashamed to even talk about it because it feels so extremely fundamental. And you know, we are getting some nice Imperial moments like this serial exposition, this Dedra moment to remind us about her loot and hunt, we see their relationship, which is actually nice storyline, and we see this moment with Cyril, Mother and Dedra that was actually great and funny and interesting. But it is can't be done at the cost of completely losing entire storyline for 2 episodes. And no, I'm not buying that Empire needed this 1 year for preparation and development of this campaign, because throughout the whole series we see that characters just teleporting in the matter of 10 seconds between locations, so it is not a problem. And even if it's problem, I don't care, it's damaging the story, so you should fix it at any cost. Like in the next Imperial scene I need to see Gorman or actual traveling and preparation to Gorman. That's it, that's obvious. You know, first I planned to analyze whole season or first half of the season, but I'll finish video here. If you really want to hear more about Andor, I want to invite you to my Telegram and Discord channel and write it there. Actually, I have a lot to tell why next 3 series were better but still chaotic BS, and why second half of the season actually become very good. But I don't want to do it if you will not tell me that you want it. Now let's summarize absolutely crucial problems that these 3 episodes have and why every single storyline feels just as disaster. First, we have completely useless storylines. The biggest disappointment a show can offer is storylines that go nowhere, have zero impact and change nothing for the characters. Just simple thought experiment. You can remove these storylines entirely and story won't lose anything. And in fact, it would only improve the story, because we have more time and pacing to focus on Gorman and Death Star and actual plot. Second problem, Andor has no clue how to deliver emotional impact. A character dies and you forget about it in 1 minute, and characters forget too. Another character dies, no consequences. They only telling us that these people suffer. Without any proofs, we should believe that Mon is sad just because she has sad face and she dance. And somehow we should care about absolutely useless, no-name Hobos. Every time we get a long, dragged out build-up that leads us to nowhere. And we see empty, dead characters. These characters only pretend to feel emotions, but in fact almost nothing happening on the screen affecting them. And please hear me out, I still think that Rogue One and Andor is the only watchable content in Star Wars universe, because Mandalorian and Trilogy were done for kids, and Ahsoka, Acolyte, Obi-Wan and Boba Fett were done for degenerates. So compared to them, Andor is actually a masterpiece. But you know, to compare Ahsoka and Andor is like comparing death and become a wheelchair person. Of course, becoming disabled is better than die, but it doesn't mean that wheelchair is great, bro. So still, sometimes Andor demonstrates so low level of writing that I just can't imagine how is it possible. You know, I really refuse to blame writers. I refuse to think they are degenerates.
Right now, I'm imagining a scriptwriter in front of me.
I think they have some production problem, or maybe restrictions from studio, or they don't have enough freedom, or they have too much freedom. I don't know what happens, but bro, what I just described to you, it is just unbearable. It's unacceptable. So, thank you for being here. As I said, if you want more about Andor, you should write about it, otherwise I will not do it. And of course, if you are very interested and you like this content, you can send me money, bro, and I will make video like this about whatever you request. But if I don't like it, my review will be like this video about Andor, so beware. Alright, bye bye, bro. Ah, fuck it. In my opinion, Andor is the best what Star Wars universe can afford. In my opinion,